Hey guys, J here. Before we get into today's video, I want to say thank you guys so much for all the support. We are now at the most subscribers we've ever been at, but we're still trying to reach our ultimate goal of 1,000. So if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. But with COD Champs officially being over with, do we have a brand new champion, or is it business as usual? What's on, guys? J back with you. Today, welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We got some league play for you on Raid Hardpoint, and I actually go on a pretty nice run on this map. So hope you guys do enjoy that in the background. As like I said in the intro, COD Champs is officially over. The Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War season is over, and we have our champion. But before we tell you guys who actually won the whole thing, let's start with how we got there, right? We have our first set of matchups, so you can see the bracket on your screen, and you guys probably already know who the winner is, but we're going to take it from the beginning anyway. So our first matchup in round one of the winners bracket was Optic Chicago versus the New York Subliners, and Optic just did not show up in this one. Like, they really didn't. I don't want to say they got smoked, but they definitely were not showing up in the first two games of this series. The second two games, they came back. They brought it back to 2-2. So then I started to get really excited. Then they lost to Search and Destroy and got dropped down to the losers bracket. So that was horrible. But either way, New York Subliners move on to the second round. Unfortunate for Optic. They're still in the tournament, though. They dropped down to the losers bracket in round one versus Florida. But we'll get down to that in just a second. But yeah, New York moves on. They look somewhat good. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in last video, but Clayster was back in the starting lineup for this event. So, obviously, with Clay back versus Optic, that's always a devastating duo, if you will. Our second matchup of the winners bracket, round one, features the defending Call of Duty champs, or Call of Duty World champs, the reigning champs, if you will, is the Dallas Empire versus the Minnesota Rocker. Now, we saw this one as Dallas has a clear-cut edge. Minnesota has one good event all year. Pretty, should be pretty clear-cut, because what happened to Minnesota at the last tournament would never happen again unless something crazy happens, right? But either way, Dallas walk away with the, I don't want to say swift and easy 3-0, but with the 3-0, right? Didn't get to watch much of these other matches, but Dallas wins this one 3-0. They move on to the second round versus Toronto. Minnesota drops down to take on the Thieves. But let's drop down to the elimination bracket, round number one. Like I said, Optic and Minnesota have dropped down now. So we have our first round matchups in the elimination bracket of Florida Mutineers versus Optic Chicago. And this one, it sucks for Florida, right? And I'm not just saying that because they lost, but they only played one tournament, or one game. Not one game, one match in this entire tournament, and they're out, right? This is why I hate teams starting in the losers bracket, because you have one shot and you're done. Now, yeah, if we had all 8 teams in the winners bracket, or all 12 teams, or all 8, or the top 8 in the winners bracket, top 4 or bottom 4, I mean, in the elimination bracket, you have something, right? You should get rewarded for being in the top 8. You should also be not penalized, but have a disadvantage starting in the bottom 4, right, in the losers bracket. But either way, Florida is in this one. Optic comes out with a big 3-1 victory. And although I was really confident with Optic beating New York, and then they didn't, so they dropped down against Florida, still pretty confident, and they won this one, right, 3-1. They move on to the second round, awaiting the loser of Dallas and Toronto. But we only really want one of those teams, because the other team kind of has Optic's number a little bit. But second matchup was LA Thieves versus Minnesota Rocker. Rocker come away with the Game 5 victory. And yeah, didn't get to watch much of these other matches. But should have been Game 5 Got to be a good game, right? At least take it the distance. But yeah, Minnesota moves on. Optic moves on to the second rounds. They have to await the losers of the next matchups in the winners bracket, as we have Atlanta Faze versus New York Subliners. Now this one, Clay versus Faze, it's always a good matchup, right? But this one ends earlier than we hoped, right? 3-0 fashion for Atlanta. These guys having a rough stage 5. And yeah, they went out, what was it, top 8 or something like that, or was that stage 4? I don't remember now. But everyone, I wasn't worried about Atlanta, especially in this matchup, but we didn't know exactly how that would have affected them, you know, moving on later in the tournament. But they bounce back, they get the easy 3-0, they move on to the winners finals, awaiting our next winner of this next matchup, Toronto Ultra versus Dallas Empire. This one goes the distance. Now, I was really hoping, like, for the one time ever, I was hoping Toronto won this one. Only because Dallas matches up better with Optic, right? Toronto has Optic's number, right? Every single time they beat them, it's like 3-1, you know, and it just disappoints all the green wall. But this one, Dallas ends up winning it, right? I think it was Game 5, Round 11. It was very close. And I mean very close. I did get to see the end of this matchup. But this one was a close one, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. Dallas wins this one. Dallas moves on to winners finals again versus Atlanta Faze. Toronto Ultra drops down to the second round to face off against Optic Chicago. Down in the elimination bracket, round number 2. We just said it. Toronto Ultra are dropping down to face off against Optic Chicago, and man, I really wish Dallas would have been here, because I think we would have gotten another, you know, pretty good round out of Optic. But unfortunately, Toronto comes down. They're facing off against Optic. Toronto's got their number all year long. And unfortunately, Optic bow out top 6. So it's tough that they go out that early. Obviously, you know, I think the grand final and, you know, later in the tournament would have been absolutely booming if they were still in, right? If the green wall was still there watching and hanging out and everything, the tournament would have been insane. But unfortunately, the cards didn't fall right for Optic this year. You know, they were pretty consistent across the board, getting either 3rd, 4th, or 5th throughout the entire year, but that kind of describes your season. You know, they were always good, but not great, and kind of describes it, right? But yeah, Toronto moves on to round 3. Optic is out top 6. But down to our second matchup, we have the New York Subliners versus the Minnesota Rocker. Now, this one, if I would have predicted this one just like this, I think I predicted Minnesota to win this one. I'm pretty sure. You know, off the recent form and the unknown, you know, New York situation of how they're going to be playing with Clay back, I think I went Minnesota with this one. Maybe I went New York. I don't really remember what I did, but Minnesota does win this one 3-1, knocking New York out top 5 or top 6 as well. I should also mention Florida and LA Thieves out top 8. So Florida and LA Thieves out top 8, Optic and New York out top 6. But let's keep going with our finals here. With our next matchup that we can cover. So we already have Atlanta and Dallas waiting in the winners finals. Let's get round 3 in the losers bracket done so we know who's going to be in the elimination bracket finals. So a rematch from the last event's grand finals in the elimination bracket round 3 features the Toronto Ultra versus the Minnesota Rocker. Now this one's not a best of 9 by any means, but this time Toronto gets their revenge. The Game 5 victory wins the series 3-2, sending Minnesota home at 4th place. Toronto gets revenge and moves on to the elimination bracket final, awaiting the loser of Atlanta versus Dallas, which is, of course, our next matchup. Atlanta Faze versus Dallas Empire. Rematch from last year's grand finals and winners finals as well, but this one not going to be as close as we're hoping. Atlanta 3-0. Atlanta yet to lose a match or a map this entire tournament so far through the 2 matches that they've played. But unfortunately, Dallas does fall down. They do have another tough matchup, a rematch versus the Toronto Ultra. They got the upper hand the first time. Can they do it again? But this one, it goes the other way. Toronto Ultra end up winning this one in the Game 5, 3-2. Dallas, out top 3. Toronto moves on to the grand final for another matchup with Faze, which of course is our grand finals. Atlanta Faze versus Toronto Ultra. These two teams, when they get together, it's always a pretty good matchup. And who ended up winning this one? Pretty clear cut. Atlanta Faze. They win this one in the game 8, 5-3. You know, Atlanta was our best team all year long. Got to give some big props to that team. You know, they were, you know, far and away our best team all year long, right? I mean, they had the little setback at, you know, I think it was stage 5 where they got, you know, top 8, but the rest of the year, I don't think they made it outside the grand finals, if I remember correctly. So, you know, they were our best regular season team. They're our best playoffs or champs team. Can't really argue the fact that we have our best team in the game this year, but it's unfortunate. Obviously, the optic wasn't there. You know, I probably would have been able to watch the rest of the tournament if they were, but you know, it's always hard. But either way, let's move on to our final placements, even though we kind of mentioned it already. But some of these prize pools that these teams are getting are absolutely insane. But a look at our final placements. Let's start at the bottom. So we have 7th/8th place, so top 8. The Florida Mutineers and the LA Thieves, both getting $25,000 a piece. So not bad, you know, little chunk of change for champs, but obviously you'd want, you know, just a little bit more. But then we have 5th/6th, Optic Chicago and the New York Subliners, both teams each getting $75,000 as a team. In 4th place, we have the Minnesota Rocker with $150,000 as a team. 3rd place, we have the Dallas Empire with $300,000 as the team. 2nd place, Toronto Ultra, $650,000. It keeps getting better, but what could be better than 2nd with $650,000? How about 1st place for the Atlanta Faze? We have $1.2 million. Right, that's absolutely insane. Who remembers when we have our first ever $1 million tournament where $1 million was the whole prize pool, not just for the winner? Or who remembers we were playing for $100,000 at some of these smaller tournaments? Like, this is insane amount of money, right? $1.2 million as a team. That's insane. But either way, a quick look at the championship kit, as the COD League has said. Abizi with his 2nd ring, Simp with his 2nd ring, RC's with his 2nd ring, Celium getting his 1st, and Crowder getting his 2nd in total. Their head coach, one as a coach, one as a player. It looks cool. They got a jacket, I think some like shoes, and obviously the ring and some other stuff in there. I don't remember exactly what's all in there, but here's another really weird thing that I had saw. Not weird, I shouldn't say weird, that's the wrong word I want to use, but talking about rings, right? It's on your screen now, and this was tweeted out by Intel Call of Duty, or CDL Intel. 3 rings right now out of the entire COD community. We have 3 people with 3 rings. Karma, Clayster, and Crim6, right? 3 of our best players of all time. But now, at 2 rings, we have JCap, Aches, Apathy, and now we have 3/4 of the Faze squad, Arcity, Simp, and Abizi. That's insane that these guys are still 20, 21 years old. You know, they still have at least, let's just say, 5 years ahead of them. And they're already at 2 rings. That's insane. Then at 1, we have Parasite, Miracles, Killa, TP, Attach, Crowder, John, Slasher, Formal, Scump, Assault, Silly, Pristini, Hook, Shotzi, Illy, and Celium. So a lot of these big name players that played back in the day, like Parasite, Miracles, Killa, TP, especially all the guys in the One Ring Club, already being passed up by the likes of RCD, Simp, and Abizi. That's gotta be scary, because I can almost guarantee this team isn't gonna change going into next year. So they have to go into next year as the clear-cut favorite, best team in the game. So if they win another one, they're already tied with Karma, Clayster, and Crim6 with 3 rings, but they don't have the amount of like tournament wins. So that's gonna be insane if we ever get there. I mean, like I said, let's just say at least 5 years, and they're probably gonna play for a little bit longer than that. That's pretty scary. But you know, congrats to Faze again. You know, Ultra, second place. But either way, let's show you guys the CDL Scuff Gaming Team of the Year. So throughout the entire year, they had the Scuff Gaming Team of the Year. I don't think it was weekly. I think it was stage, I think. But either way, our 4 winners or finalists or whatever you want to call them, or the official Team of the Year, was Simp and Beezy from Atlanta Faze. We had Insight from the Toronto Ultra, and we had Dashy from Optic Chicago. So congrats to those guys over there. But yeah, this was an absolutely insane tournament. You know, we're going to be making some more COD videos in the meantime before Vanguard comes out. Hopefully there's a beta we can check out. Eventually I got to pre-order those as well. But it was a crazy year covering CDL Call of Duty here, but I can't wait for next year with Vanguard. You know, obviously the off season's going to be upon us here. So we'll talk about these teams in more detail. Who's going to be sticking together, who's not going to be, because we already had one team drop everybody from their organization. So it's going to be an interesting offseason, that's for sure. Everyone trying to catch up to Atlanta Faze. Congrats again, boys, Simp, Abizi, Celium, Aristides, Crowder, and the rest of the Atlanta Faze crew. Congratulations to you guys. Enjoy it, but Optic is coming back for you. So either way, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet. Or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn post notifications on so you never miss an upload. And don't forget, you can always change your mind later. But as always, guys, we'll see you in the next one.